A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you through the day's top stories, starting with the headlines. 8 civilians, including 22-year-old woman, killed in Pakistani shelling along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. 2 Pakistani soldiers are killed in retaliatory fire by Indian troops. Centre asks the Mehbooba Mufti government to make efforts to reopen schools in Kashmir Valley. Home Ministry seeks notification to conduct board examinations as per schedule from the 15th of November. A day after the encounter, family members of the 8 dead Simi activists demand a CBI probe. Eyewitness claims Madhya Pradesh police alerted him about the jailbreak. And Iraqi forces start the assault on Mosul city for the first time. Backed by coalition airstrikes, troops liberate the town of Bazwaya as they push closer to the center of the city. Top story this evening, 8 civilians were reported killed and 22 injured in fresh ceasefire violation by Pakistan on Tuesday, causing the highest number of deaths on a single day in over 2 decades. Border security forces also have been reported to have destroyed 14 Pakistani posts in ferocious retaliatory fire. Here are all the details.
8 civilians, including a 22-year-old woman, were killed on Tuesday in Pakistani shelling along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistani Rangers targeted Nowshera, Rajouri and Samba sectors, as well as forward posts and civilian areas in the Ramgarh sector. 2 Pakistani soldiers were killed in the retaliatory fire by Indian troops in Rajouri and Mendhar sectors.
एक सैनिक के साथ होती है, जब आप उसमें कुछ हासिल नहीं कर पाते हैं तो एक दूसरा ये तरीका अपनाया जाता है कि सिविलियन एरिया को टारगेट किया जाए। फायरिंग शुरू हुई है, उनको मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जा रहा है एक एक मौका देने के बाद, और जब देखा जा रहा है कि ये अपनी हरकत से बाज नहीं आ रहे तो उनको हम बहुत कड़ा और मुंह तोड़ जवाब दे रहे हैं।
8 civilians who sustained heavy injuries were hospitalized. 3 infiltration bids by heavily armed terrorists were also foiled in the past 36 hours in Hiranagar sector. An encounter between security forces and terrorists is still underway in Ajar village in Bandipora. According to reports, the village was cordoned off for 3 suspected Lashkar terrorists holed up in the village.
यहाँ बहुत खराब हालत है जी, रात पूरी का फैर हो रहा, 3 आदमी हमारे जख्मी हो गए, हॉस्पिटल एडमिट किए।
पाकिस्तान कल और आज सुबह से ही हैवी शेलिंग कर रहा है और हैवी मोटार शेलिंग यहाँ पे हो रही है और बुलेट्स तक लोगों के घरों तक आई हैं और लोगों का घर से बाहर निकलना भी बहुत मजबूर हो गया है।
Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police K. Rajendra Kumar visited the border areas of Jammu and Kashmir and urged security agencies to remain extra vigilant on the border. Close to 70 ceasefire violations have taken place in a month after India conducted surgical strikes on terror launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In fact, the Home Minister Rajnath Singh called a high-level meeting a few hours back, and he, of course, called that meeting along with Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, the NSA Ajit Doval, and also other senior MHA officials who attended that meeting. They, of course, discussed the situation on the LOC, the firing, of course, the ceasefire violations that we've seen, over 60 of them, in fact, that we've been seeing in the past few days and only. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Governor met Home Minister Rajnath Singh earlier today, and they discussed the issue also of reopening schools in the unrest-hit Kashmir Valley. In an effort to restore normalcy in the valley, the centre has urged the state government to ensure reopening of schools at the earliest. Remember, they've been remained closed due to violence and strike called by separatists since July. 3 months now that schools have been shut in the valley. In fact, at that meeting that was called, that high-level security meeting called by Home Minister Rajnath Singh, the issue, of course, of educational institutions, especially schools, over 24 of them, is what we've learned in the past few days, have been burned down. Mysterious fire incidents, of course, but all across Kashmir Valley. And that, of course, was protested by a lot of parents of school children as well. Of course, the school studies, of course, being suffering because of the fact that 3 months on now, the schools have been shut. This is, of course, affecting the studies. And now, of course, with the fire incidents of those schools. Let's take you through some more details.
The centre on Tuesday asked the Mehbooba Mufti government to make efforts to reopen schools closed for over 3 months due to unrest in the valley. The Home Ministry also directed the state government to notify over 500 schools to conduct board examinations from November 15th as per schedule.
अपने बच्चों को उन्होंने दिल्ली, बंगलौर और बड़े बड़े शहरों में रखा और गरीब के बच्चे को पत्थरबाज बनाया। अपने बच्चों को देश और विदेश के सर्वश्रेष्ठ शिक्षा संस्थानों में तालीम के लिए भेजा और गरीब के बच्चे के लिए जो सरकारी स्कूल था उसको जलाने की प्रक्रिया में सहयोग दिया, समर्थन दिया। एक बार भी उसकी निंदा नहीं की, वो स्वयं बेनकाब हो गए हैं।
Meanwhile, police has claimed to have arrested 12 people out of 35 identified in torching of school buildings in South Kashmir.
जो SITs हैं इनको टाइम बाउंड तरीके से इन्वेस्टिगेशन करने के आदेश दिए जा चुके हैं। अनंतनाग पुलिस ने अभी कल गिरफ्तारियां कुछ कर ली हैं। अब गिरफ्तारियां हो रही हैं जो लोग उसमें मुलविस असल में है। हमारी कोशिश ये है कि जो कोई बेगुनाह है जिसका नाम कहीं ऐसे आ गया है उसको हम नहीं वो चाहते हैं।
On Monday, the Jammu and Kashmir High Court directed police and the civil administration to ensure full protection of educational institutions. It also took suo motu cognizance of reports that 26 schools were burnt down. The court listed the case for hearing on November 7th. In the latest attack, a government school was set on fire in Anantnag district on Sunday by unidentified persons. Educational institutions in the valley are closed since July 9th after clashes broke out following the killing of terrorist Burhan Wani. Meanwhile, normal life remained affected due to the ongoing unrest that entered the 116th day on Tuesday. Security has been tightened amid rampant exchange of fire across the border between India and Pakistan. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now to the latest on the Simi under trials encounter in Madhya Pradesh. Responding to opposition as well as media's questions on the nature of the encounter, Minister of State for Home Kiren Rijiju said that it was not right to question the police on the incident. The probe will be handled by the Madhya Pradesh CID, but the families of the dead men are seeking a CBI probe. Meanwhile, the National Human Rights Commission has issued notices to the Madhya Pradesh government, police and prison authorities over the alleged killings.
A day after the 8 Simi activists were killed in an alleged police encounter in Bhopal, their family members are demanding a CBI probe into the incident. Calling the killing cold-blooded murders, the families will approach the Madhya Pradesh High Court for an inquiry. An eyewitness has meanwhile claimed that he was alerted by the Madhya Pradesh police in the morning about the jailbreak.
हम पीछा 1.5 किलोमीटर करते करते यहाँ तक लाए इनको। इनके हाथों में सफेद में वो लाठी थी, कपड़े टंगे थे पीठ पे। पुलिस आ गई 25-30 मिनट।
कितने बजे की तकरीबन?
9 बजे 8 बजे का किस्सा है। हाँ, गाड़ी नहीं देखी थी वो तो हम फिर वहाँ से 1.5 किलोमीटर जहाँ तक आए, फिर पुलिस आ गई। पुलिस ने चेतावनी दी उनको कि आप सरेंडर कर दो, तैयार नहीं हुए।
Accusing opposition parties of playing politics over the killing of men, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan described the dead men as dreaded terrorists. He also announced a 10 lakh rupees compensation to the family of the head constable who was killed.
मुझे पता नहीं कि राजनीति कैसी हो गई। हमारे देश के ही कुछ ऐसे नेता, उनको शहीदों की शहादत दिखाई नहीं देती, उनको रमाशंकर यादव का बलिदान दिखाई नहीं देता। यही आतंकवादी थे जिन्होंने पहले रतलाम में सिर प्रताप कुशवाहा की हत्या की।
Responding to the controversy, Union Minister Kiren Rijiju said the police or forces should not be questioned merely on the basis of a video clip.
First of all, we should stop this habit of raising doubts and questioning the authorities and the police. This is not a good culture. What we are observing in India is that people have developed this habit of raising unnecessary doubts and questions. Facts will come out.
Meanwhile, it was reported that the National Investigation Agency will inquire into the security lapses on the part of the jail authorities. The 8 Simi activists were killed in an alleged encounter with police on the outskirts of Bhopal on Monday morning after they allegedly escaped from the high security central jail. The police disclosed that the under trials killed a head constable using sharpened steel plates and spoons. A security guard also suffered serious injuries. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And like we said, opposition parties have questioned the encounter. Several parties have demanded a judicial investigation into the encounter, While Congress General Secretary Digvijay Singh has said that it was curious how only the Simi men escaped prison and were killed.
कहीं ना कहीं गड़बड़ है और गड़बड़ जो अगर है तो जांच होनी चाहिए। अब वो कह रहे हैं कि पुलिस की जांच पुलिस ही करेगी, एनआईए करे, ठीक बात है, लेकिन एनआईए जांच एनकाउंटर की करे, जेल से कैसे भागी इसकी जांच वो क्यों करेगी एनआईए? उसकी जांच तो जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी होना चाहिए।
This appears to be very mysterious. How could they escape first? How could they get firearms, if at all there was encounter and they fired at police? How could they get firearms? All these questions need to be answered. And above all, how the videos could be made, and it is not one video.
इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए कि फेक इनकाउंटर है कि जेन्युइन इनकाउंटर है, इसमें संदेह है।
Serious questions needs to be answered. Now, there must be, we believe, our party, the CPIM feels, that there must be a time-bound judicial inquiry into the killings, because there are some disturbing inconsistencies in the versions given by the state government, the police and the various forms of administration.
कई सवाल खड़े हुए हैं। आईजी प्रिजन का बयान यह है कि इन लोगों के एक्सचेंज ऑफ फायर की वजह से हमने उनको मार डाला, क्योंकि उन्होंने हम पर हमला किया, पुलिस वालों पर, और पुलिस वालों ने उन पर, और एनकाउंटर के दौरान ये 8 की मौत हो गई। जबकि गृह मंत्री मध्य प्रदेश के कहते हैं कि उनके पास हथियार नहीं थे। अब सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि अगर ये लोग जेल से भागे हैं तो 10 सवाल खड़े होते हैं। पहला तो ये कि इन्होंने किसी एक गार्ड को मारा, तो क्या जेल में एक ही गार्ड था?
In other news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday pitched for the empowerment of the poor in Chhattisgarh, saying that skilled youth can pull themselves out of poverty and help fuel the engine of growth. Modi, who is on a visit to Chhattisgarh to inaugurate the state's 16th Foundation Day, unveiled the statue of Jansangh ideologue Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Modi said that states like Chhattisgarh, which have the potential for ecotourism, can generate employment by investing little capital in its development. Besides inaugurating the Jungle Safari Park at Naya Raipur, he dedicated the BRTS developed under public transport service facility between Raipur and Naya Raipur. Modi also dedicated the 2-kilometer-long Ekatan path constructed between Naya Raipur railway station and capital complex.
मैं आज सुबह जब से आया हूं, हर जगह पर जाकर के योजनाओं को देख रहा था। बड़े मन को प्रभाव पैदा करने वाली योजनाओं से रचना हुई है, निर्माण कार्य उत्तम हुआ है, और आज नहीं, जब 50 साल के बाद कोई छत्तीसगढ़ आएगा, नया रायपुर देखेगा, एकांत पथ देखेगा, तो उसे लगेगा कि हिंदुस्तान का एक छोटा सा राज्य भी क्या कमाल कर सकता है, आदिवासी इलाका भी कैसी एक नई रौनक ला सकता है। इसका संदेश आज एक प्रकार से शिलान्यास हुआ।
Now, with pollution levels in Delhi crossing the danger mark on Diwali, the centre on Tuesday summoned governments of 5 states over enforcing ban on stubble burning. The decision comes on a day the Central Pollution Control Board released its report on the air quality of Delhi. The Environment Ministry attributed the spike in pollution levels to open burning of solid waste, vehicular emissions, dust by the roadside and stubble burning of crop residue in neighbouring states. Secretaries of Punjab, Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh have been summoned on the 4th of November to review the situation and deliberate on the strategy to combat pollution. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia also called a high-level meeting to ensure work at war footing and review the air pollution in Delhi.
हरियाणा में या गाजियाबाद में, यानी यूपी में, वहाँ ऑटो बहुत खड़े होते हैं, 400-500 ऑटो खड़े रहते हैं और उनमें से 100-200 ऑटो हमेशा ऑन रहते हैं, उनका इग्निशन ऑन रहता है। उनकी वजह से बॉर्डर एरियाज में बहुत पॉल्यूशन है। आप किसी भी ऐसे एंट्री पॉइंट पर जाइए जहाँ दिल्ली में एंट्री पॉइंट है, वहाँ कंजेशन, सेफ्टी मेजर्स की तो प्रॉब्लम है ही है, इसकी भी प्रॉब्लम है।
तो 4 तारीख को जो मीटिंग होने वाली है केंद्र सरकार के साथ में, जो केंद्रीय पर्यावरण मंत्री ने बुलाई है, उसमें हम इस चीज़ को रखेंगे कि स्टेट्स की ट्रांसपोर्ट अथॉरिटीज को कहें कि ये बॉर्डर्स को रेगुलेट करें, वहाँ जो इलीगल तरीके से चल रहे ऑटो हैं उनको कंट्रोल करें, ताकि वहाँ 100-200 ऑटो एक साथ इग्नाइट होकर इग्निशन ऑन करके नहीं खड़े रहें, इतना पॉल्यूशन वहाँ पे फैल रहा है। ये कुछ डिसीजन लिए हैं और इसमें हर हफ्ते इसका डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफिस में रिव्यू होगा।
Now with banks, especially government-owned lenders, reeling under the pile of willful defaults, the Supreme Court has asked the RBI to disclose details of large corporate loan defaults. It has also warned that the concentration of risk with a few large corporate borrowers holding on to the lion's share of bank debt could be detrimental to the banking system. Crumbling under the weight of bad loans and willful defaults, the banking sector's risks have increased sharply. Lax credit risk appraisal and loan monitoring of inflated cost projections have only added to the pile of willful defaults.
Project appraisal has to be happening on a very regular basis so that you keep understand the kind of risk that is going to be built up over a period of time in the project.
Despite banks tightening their grip on small borrowers, corporate defaults are growing. Willful defaulters are entities or people who don't repay the loan despite having the ability to do so, or they use the loan for a different purpose than for which it was given. The RBI has already submitted a list of big defaulters to the Supreme Court who failed to repay loans of over 500 crore rupees. It has pleaded that their names should not be made public because of confidentiality. The RBI also maintains that blanket disclosure of names is barred under the RBI Act and Credit Information Companies Regulation Act of 2005.
They constitute about 85% of these NPAs, which is a very, very high figure. तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि जो आम आदमी है, जो रोजमर्रा के लिए जो लोन लेता है, उसका सिर्फ 15 से 16% का जो NPA हो रहा है, बट आपके जो बड़े-बड़े जो borrowers हैं, उनका 84-85% हो रहा है.
The number of willful defaulters of public sector banks rose from 5,554 to 7,686 in 3 years in December 2015. The number involved more than doubled to 66,190 crore rupees from 27,749 crore rupees. 57 debtors alone defaulted on repaying around 85,000 crore rupees. State Bank of India tops the list with 11,705 crore rupees in willful defaults. The Supreme Court has to now decide if the names of the defaulters can be made public. Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha TV. And now let's take you through some more national news updates in Nationwide. The price of subsidized LPG on Tuesday was hiked by over 2 rupees a cylinder, making it the 6th increase in rates in 5 months. The price of jet fuel was also raised by a steep 7.3% in step with global trends. A subsidized 14.2 kilogram cylinder will now cost 430 rupees 64 paise in Delhi. Prime Minister Modi launched Haryana's year-long Golden Jubilee celebrations from Gurugram. Modi will kick off Haryana's Swarn Jayanti celebrations from the Tao Devilal Stadium. The inaugural ceremony is expected to be attended by more than 100,000 people. Haryana was created on the 1st of November 1966 and completes 50 years on Tuesday. Kerala has become the third open defecation-free state in the country. The announcement was made on the state's foundation date on Tuesday. Earlier, Himachal Pradesh and Sikkim had declared themselves open defecation-free. Gujarat, Haryana and Uttarakhand will reportedly be announcing themselves as ODF soon. With a quick break here, up next, international news.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. Let's get to international news now, starting with Iraq, where the forces for the first time entered the eastern outskirts of Mosul as they attempt to drive Islamic State terrorists from their last stronghold. The forces are closing in from several fronts in an attempt to squeeze out the terrorists. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi warned Islamic State that they must surrender or die. Iraqi forces began their assault on Mosul city for the first time since launching a major offensive to retake the city from Islamic State terrorists. The Iraqi special forces, backed by coalition airstrikes, entered the eastern outskirts of Mosul on Tuesday. The forces liberated the town of Bazwaya from the control of the terrorists as they pushed closer to the center of the city.
احنا حاليا في منطقة الموصل حاليا وسوف يعني ما بقى بالمركز المدينة بقى منها يعني كيلو حاليا ندخل فيها المنطقة نحررها إن شاء الله.
Troops also closed in from the north and the southeast, while Shiite paramilitary groups pushed south of the city in an attempt to squeeze IS fighters from different directions. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi on Monday pledged to close off all the escape routes for the terrorists, saying they will either die or surrender.
نحاول نغلق على داعش من كل مكان وإن شاء الله نقطع رأس الأفعى. أنا يعني أنبئ جميع المواطنين في نينوى وفي الموصل بالذات أنه سنقطع رأس داعش. هؤلاء الأبطال سيقطعون رأس داعش، سنحيط بهم من كل مكان، ليس لهم مخرج، ليس لهم مفر، ما عليهم إلا الاستسلام.
As the fight intensified, the safety of civilians is expected to be under more risk. The UN has repeatedly raised the concern of IS fighters abducting civilians and using them as human shield. Up to 1.5 million civilians were in Mosul before the fight began, and nearly 18,000 residents have fled so far, with as many as 700,000 others following suit.
We have further reports of mass killings by ISIL. On Saturday, 40 former Iraqi security forces soldiers were killed, and their bodies were thrown in the Tigris River. They were reportedly among the civilians who had been abducted earlier from Al-Shura sub-district of Mosul and from villages surrounding Hamam al-Alil. There are also reports that ISIL has been threatening relatives of people that they suspect are supporting the Iraqi security forces.
ISIS also has sent more fighters to shore up its defenses. The terrorists have also fired rockets and grenades at the marching army. With the forces advancing towards the center of the last IS-held city, the battle is expected to go from street to street. Bureau Report, RSTV. Now to the US, whereas the US presidential polls draw near, Republican nominee Donald Trump pounced on Clinton's reignited email controversy, using the opportunity to hit out at her yet again. Announcement that the FBI is investigating more emails as part of a probe into Clinton's use of a private email server has given new hope to Trump that he can make a comeback and win on the 8th of November. In fact, he's already narrowed Clinton's lead in national opinion polls and is in fact leading in some battleground states where the election is likely to be decided.
Hillary is the one who broke the law over and over and over again. We can be sure that what is in those emails is absolutely devastating. And I think we're going to find out, by the way, for the first time. Thank you, Uma. Thank you, Uma. Good job, Uma.
Donald Trump reveling in fresh investigation of Hillary Clinton aides' emails. With just a week left for the US presidential poll, the Republican nominee jumped on the opportunity to claim victory, saying that newly found emails will be absolutely devastating to Clinton. At a rally in Michigan on Monday, Trump thanked Clinton aide Huma Abedin, whose husband Anthony Weiner is at the heart of an FBI's investigation that led to the discovery of new emails. This came after FBI Director James Comey disclosed on Friday that the Bureau was reviewing newly discovered emails for links to the Clinton server investigation.
Hillary is the one who sent and received classified information on an insecure server, putting the safety of the American people under threat. That's what she did. $650,000. You know what I call that? That's the mother load. I think you're going to find the 33,000 that are missing.
Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton remained defiant about new emails, saying voters will not be swayed by the announcement. Clinton and her aides have fiercely objected to the timing of FBI Director Comey's action, now asking him to swiftly release more information about what is contained in the mails. Comey's revelation left many unanswered questions about the content of the emails and how they could be related to Clinton.
It was a mistake and I regret it, and now they apparently want to look at emails of one of my staffers, and by all means they should look at them. And I am sure they will reach the same conclusion they did when they looked at my emails for the last year. There is no case here.
Despite Hillary Clinton's insistence, FBI is unlikely to finish its review of new emails before the 8th of November election. It will be interesting to see what impact will the new emails have on voters, but the revelations have definitely steered the attention away from Donald Trump's scandal over alleged sexual misconduct accusations. Polls show the race for the White House has narrowed noticeably, with Hillary just 1 point ahead of her Republican challenger Trump at 46 to 45%. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here are more international news updates in Global Buzz. The Pentagon today warned of a terror threat from within Pakistan to the Pakistani people and outside. It also says more needs to be done to address the issue. The Pentagon has called counter-terrorism a big focus in tackling the issue with Pakistan. At least 13 people are reported dead and around 20 missing after an explosion at a coal mine in China's Chongqing region. The deputy mayor said an all-out search for the missing miners is underway. However, authorities have already launched an investigation into the explosion, and local officials have ordered the temporary shutdown of small coal mines in the region. According to a new report released by the UNICEF, nearly 220 million children of South Asia breathe toxic air in some of the most polluted regions in the world, including India, deepening worries over health of minors in several parts of the country. The UNICEF's Clear the Air for Children report, based on satellite imagery, was released on Monday amid a sharp spike in air pollution in Delhi and other cities of North India after Diwali. And now let's get you through all the updates from the world of sports and Sports Beat. The Sports Ministry has asked the All India Tennis Association to elect a new president within 90 days. Derecognized by the Sports Ministry, ITA says that it was willing to elect a new president provided the government imposes its guidelines uniformly on all sports federations, including the IOA. Manchester City will take on Barcelona in the group game of the Champions League. City were thrashed 4-0 at Camp Nou in the first leg. Barcelona, who have won all 5 of the meetings with City, need a point to guarantee a place in the last 16. Inter Milan have sacked their coach Frank de Boer after Inter dropped 12th in the standings. Having lost 4 of their past 5 league matches, Boer was in charge of the Serie A side for less than 3 months. Inter had finished 24 points behind champions Juventus last season and failed to qualify for the Champions League for the 5th consecutive year. That's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks for joining us.